I have signed the release forms for 4 different people to be taken off life support. My own signature is starting to feel like a murder weapon. The first was my college boyfriend. We'd been together a year when his kidneys started shutting down out of nowhere. He was 22 and ran half marathons, and within a month he was on dialysis, and within 2, he was gone. The doctors kept using the word idiopathic, which I later learned just means we have no idea. 11 months later, my younger brother collapsed at his job. Same slow slide, same baffled specialist, same word. Then my roommate from nursing school, then the aunt who raised me after my parents split. 4 people, all young, all healthy, all dead from organ failure, nobody could explain. And every single one of them, someone I had shared a home with, a bed with, years of my life with. By 30, I was convinced there was something wrong with me, not medically, spiritually. Like I was a locked room people walked into and never came out of. So I stopped letting anyone in. When I married Daniel, I loved him too much to leave, but I built walls anyway. I slept in the guest room. I stopped hugging him longer than a second. I flinched out of his arms after we were intimate and went straight to my own bed. He thought I was punishing him for something he couldn't name. You act like touching me costs you something, he said one night, sitting on the edge of a bed I refused to share. Do you even want to be married to me? I couldn't tell him the truth, that I was terrified being married to me was a death sentence. So I said nothing, and he took my silence as an answer, and we both lay awake in separate rooms. Then our son was born, and every wall I'd built came down at once. I couldn't help it. I held him through the night. I fell asleep with him on my chest. I pressed my face into his hair and breathed him in for hours. All the closeness I had starved my husband of for years, I poured into that baby without a second thought. You'll sleep curled around him all night, Daniel said quietly, watching from the doorway. But you won't let me put an arm around you. What did I do that our son didn't? I had no answer that wouldn't sound insane. Our boy turned 4, and then he started getting tired. Then the bruises came, the ones that bloom without a bump. Then he stopped eating. I knew that sequence in my bones. I had watched it 4 times. I drove him to the hospital shaking so hard I could barely hold the wheel, and I begged them to find what was killing my son. They ran everything. His liver was failing, and they couldn't say why. Idiopathic, that word again, like a door closing. It was an infectious disease doctor who finally asked the question no one had ever thought to ask me. This presentation is rare. We sometimes see it with a blood-borne parasite from parts of Central America. Have you ever spent extended time in that region? The floor tilted. I'd spent a summer in Honduras at 19, building latrines with a volunteer group. 6 months before my boyfriend first got sick. We should test you, she said. You may be an asymptomatic carrier. I was. 17 years I had carried it, feeling nothing, while it quietly waited in my blood. It transmits through sustained, intimate, prolonged closeness, sleeping tangled together, holding someone for hours, the physical language of the people we love most. Everyone I had ever truly held had died, and the reason my husband was still alive, sitting pale in the waiting room, was that I had spent 6 years treating him like a stranger. They caught it in my son too late. His organs were already too far gone. I climbed into that hospital bed and held him the way I always had, and I whispered that I was sorry, that I hadn't known, that I loved him so much it had poisoned him. He was too weak to say anything back. He just watched me with those enormous eyes until, a little after 4 in the morning, the light in them went out. Daniel's test came back clean an hour later, negative, untouched. He was standing in the doorway when the doctor explained why, that my distance, my coldness, the very thing he had grieved for 6 years was the only thing that had spared him. I started to laugh, and then I couldn't stop, and then it wasn't laughing at all. You froze me out to keep me safe, he said slowly, understanding landing on his face like a blow. And you loved him the right way, and it killed him. I nodded. I couldn't speak. He didn't leave me though. That's the part no one believes. He stayed, and we buried our son together, and grief did what my arms never could. It let him hold me at last.